YouTube. So Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, YouTube. We're gonna do both of these here, and I'm just gonna take a couple seconds to hang out with you guys in both places. So on the YouTube end right here, I haven't quite figured out how to stream live yet, but I'm going to. I'm actually streaming live on your cousin, sister, or long lost friend over here on Facebook. But today is the day 11, I think, in our whole deal here. If any of you guys have been tuning in to my YouTube channel and or catching some of the links when I post them here on Facebook, I am taking 60 days of the start of 2018 and committed myself to getting out there and recording some of the inside track and the happenings of building service businesses. So if you don't know me yet and this is your first chance, this is like, it's like sitting in the room with people, man. I got to keep my eyes on every single camera all the way across. If you haven't met me yet, my name's Andrew Ammons, and I am a service business owner, work in the fields mostly of landscaping as well as roofing. And today was a doozy, and today I recognized again, as I recognize so often, that starting business and being in business is nothing like I thought it was, or thought, you know, being a business owner was gonna be when I first started out. And mostly what I mean by that is, you know, you always hear that in business, that we're in the people business, right? As a service industry provider, as somebody who deals with the public and deals with work teams, I always heard for the longest time that I was in the people business, and that it took people and it took investing in people and working with people to really make this thing happen. And I think that I took that for granted, what that really meant. Because today, me and my team, primarily the admin team up here, which is six or so of us, you know, we sat in a room and we broke down some of the issues that our team was having. You know, any business that sets their sights on this grand plan and vision that you guys have probably seen me put out there when you see me talk about my businesses, it takes a certain level of friction, it takes a certain level of a group of people pushing the limits and pushing the boundaries, because otherwise we would be just like everybody else, right? If we were just doing the same old thing and being average, then this shit would be easy, right? The results wouldn't be near as gratifying or satisfying. But if we were doing the same old thing that everybody else was doing, as I look out my windows right here, any other competitor, it would be the same as anybody else. It wouldn't be hard, wouldn't have challenges. Man, I didn't turn my phone on airplane mode. We as a team have elected to go after a grand picture, a grand end result of what we know our impact on this world can be. And in doing so, we stretch sometimes and we cause feelings to be hurt because of the result or the way that somebody listens or gets caught in the white noise of day-to-day business. And you know, going back to my point and why I bring all this up is really just to say how proud I am of my team today, because I didn't recognize what it took. I didn't recognize for the longest time. You know, I'm a guy that is a process guy, and we lay out the plans, and that gives us the ability to crush things. And it always has and always will. But there's a certain component, one of the most important components, and that's the people within your organization, that sometimes you end up ignoring. And it's not just you as a business owner, you as a manager, it is players on the team make decisions day by day that they think are the best decision for the organization and the best track to move the organization themselves and their teammates forward. And in doing that, they end up stepping on somebody else's toes. Have any of you guys ever heard of that? Have you ever been in that situation where you felt you were doing what was best for the business, and you either hurt somebody's feelings or you made them aggravated at you? They totally misread the situation, and before you know it, you had an enemy at the office or at the workplace that you weren't even sure why you had that enemy. And I think I saw that play out in my office right here today. We've got the whole place set up here. Well, which camera do I want to do? Neither of them. Let's just leave them be. We all sat in this room today and we talked about a couple underlying issues. We had a meeting set to talk about our pre-production quadrant of our process flow, right? Our pre-production. What do we do? What has to be set? Who does what in this pre-production operation? That was the plan, was to sit down and talk about that. But right before the meeting started, it was made very apparent to me, and I think the entire team, that in order to take any steps forward on our pre-production growth plan that we set out for in 2017, we had to work together as just a team in general. And as we started having this conversation about when certain people made certain decisions, it became very clear to me, hey, there goes the last person out of the office, Ben Tennis. I think he's in the group right here that I'm casting in. I wish he was watching right now, because then he would wave at me. One of the last guys out of the office every single day. He gets here a little bit later, so I'll give him a little bit of slack for that. But either way, where was I? What was I saying? Anyways, we were sitting in the room. Yeah, that's right. So we started talking about this pre-production process, and we really got to realizing that decisions had been made by certain team players that really negatively impacted relationships between each other on this team. And there were things that have happened throughout the course of the last 60 days within my organization that a certain player would make a decision and the other person took it to heart that it was either a babysitting moment or a slap in the face or total disregard, disrespect for their position, when really the person, the offender in this scenario, really believed that they were doing the best thing for the organization. And more times than not, as business owners, managers, and people who get stuck in the I'm too busy syndrome or complex, we don't stop just to have these conversations with our team. If you're just tuning in or you're just turning on, I've got two settings here. I got a camera here and also the phone right here. So anyways, the point is, today started out like any normal day, right? I had my morning set up. I had my plan of attack. I had my meeting this week with my brother for the sales portion of our business. And then I had this pre-production meeting planned for the end of the day where we were going to walk through this process and we were going to go through all of this. And today what really happened is I was enlightened that business more and more is simply the business of people, especially in my organization. And the more that we can open up and have honest conversations with each other about, quite frankly, things that I wasn't trained or I never realized would have to be conversations up at the office between people. The more we do that and talk about how our personal goals affect how we operate and how what we do and the decisions we make up at the office affect other people and have those conversations, we begin to create synergy. And that's what I told my team today was we have elected to do something different than most any other businesses are doing. And we have the right people in the room because their feelings are hurt and because they are aggravated and because they're pushing themselves to the limit. So I don't really know what the point of my conversation with you today is. Remember, I'm taking 60 days and making sure I put myself out there to share a little bit about the good, bad, and the ugly of building a service business. And more often than not, I usually have a takeaway point and I have something I want to talk to you about, a realization that I made. But today, really more than anything, I guess is just me having the realization of what it takes to keep a growing and scaling team together. We're not talking about a 2-man operation, 4-man operation, 6-man, or even 10-man. I'm talking even more than that. To keep all these people together, it takes a people-centered approach. It takes sitting in the room. And I guess really I'm just humbled by my team today that they all gave enough shits to sit in this room for over 2.5 hours. There were tears shed. There were people who were aggravated. There was real conversations that were had. So maybe even more so than a big win when I can triumph like I did yesterday and said that I got to stake a yard sign in somebody else's yard and I closed the deal and I grew business and I did all that thing. Maybe a real triumph today is that we are beginning to deliver on our vision more so than we ever have by positively impacting the quality of life of our internal customer, and that being our employees and our team here. Because if we're getting honest enough with each other, that we're not scared and we trust each other enough to have the conversation about why somebody pissed us off and why we thought we were doing the right thing, and we have the courage to do that, then we are right on the verge of making each of our lives better and becoming ultra successful in what we're doing. So if you guys have had any moments in your business that you've had that moment, that realization, hard conversations you've had with your team or with people, let me know about it. Share it. Hit it. I see Fernando's here. You missed out today, man. You got to get better. You got to get back in the office. Now, this was an admin team meeting, but we want you here. So happy hour tomorrow if you're still watching, Fernando. I think starts at 4:30, and the admin team was supposed to invite you to that. But if they haven't, it's because I kept them in a 2.5-hour meeting where we had a therapy session together. But it was good, and it was good shit, and it's going to make our vision and our path towards the success that we talk about every single day more real, and it's going to make it a reality faster. So this may be the least point-oriented and really the most convoluted message I've had yet, but that's what I've got. 6 o'clock, I'm working on I don't know how many hours being at it. So I'm gonna close this up right now. I'm gonna pack it up and take my ass back home and get on emails this evening and start back in the morning fresh, kicking ass. So you guys have a good one. I'm gonna try to simultaneously turn these off both at the same time, and we are gonna go with a 1, 2, and a